are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, for those of you that are watching or been waiting to watch, my apologies. Technology issues all over the place tonight. So don't know what to tell you other than I'm sorry for the late start. And it is very late. You guys know I do not normally run the show this way. So we're doing this off of TC's phone, which I'm not real happy about. So yeah, we're going to do this off the phone tonight. And I'm going to get all of the um, hoopla out of the way. I want you guys to subscribe if you haven't, like if you haven't, um, share if you haven't, and then while you're at it, check out the join option there so that you can come in and help support so that I can fix my tech issues. I have no idea what's going on. Everything was working fine last night, and now all of a sudden it doesn't want to work for me. So thanks for stopping in. You guys are in for a treat tonight. We've got Untactical Texan, which is an ironic name since his channel is all about shooting and urban prepping and whatnot. But we're gonna bring him in and we're gonna get going, and we're not gonna delay anymore. No more fun time chats for TC on TC and Friends Monday Night Musings. So here we go. Hey, you're
How are
here.
you doing? Yeah, I'm here.
You've been here longer than me. And
I had nowhere better to be.
yeah, other than fixing storm damage. Why don't you intro yourself? Tell everybody who you are and what you does.
Yeah, so run a channel, Untactical Texan. Do a lot of do some firearm reviews, a lot of gear reviews. Like TC said, some urban prepping. Just kind of a little all over the place, but most of it firearm related.
Okay, well, you told us what you do. You didn't tell us who you are.
That's true. My name's Zach, and I am in Texas, as the name suggests.
Don't dox yourself, bro. Don't.
Yeah, and we'll keep it kind of broad range.
You'll give it. Well, it's Texas. You could give people your GPS coordinates in Texas, and they still wouldn't be able to find you.
That is true. Suffice it to say, I'm on the Gulf Coast and took a pretty good hit from that hurricane last week. So, yeah, I've been working on some storm damage, and it's been a fun week. Got power back yesterday.
Well, it's not very often people go, "Yeah, I would love to do your show tonight. It'll take my mind off my problems."
Absolutely.
Hey, Jugglasses, thanks for being here. I hope everybody's sharing this out. I think this is going to be a great conversation. So we'll see if the technology doesn't catch up with us here real soon. But anyway, so we met through Joe Lanou and his endeavor to start up We the People. I don't know where that's going so far. It seems to be all dedicated to, so far has been dedicated to Karen Reed and now some other stuff, but now they're doing Smoke Show on Wednesday nights and of course we do the use of force reviews on Friday nights, which have been incredibly popular with my audience, I'll tell you. They come in and they certainly offer the counterpoint to a lot of the law enforcement perspectives. So, yeah. Hey, Veterans Affairs Media, thanks for stopping in and, well, not stopping in, but being here and sharing Zach's channel. It's in the description of the video, by the way, as well. So anyway, so we met through that, and I know that we're all like talking about providing content to the 24-hour stream over there at We the People, but I don't know that I haven't been able to figure out how to make that work. Have you figured that out yet?
I have not. I know we talked
Well,
about
that's
that.
because you're just a lowly bartender.
That's correct. Yeah, what would I know? I know we talked about not doing 24 hours, but maybe running smaller deals, running some live automated content, and then just plugging our content in. But I haven't really heard anything since then, so I'm not quite sure where that's going either.
Well,
I
I
do.
couldn't figure out the word or the Excel document. So
That got whatever. I think Range took it and put it in a Google Docs, and everything was downhill from there. I don't know what.
but
I don't.
that isn't that a commentary on life in general.
Yes, correct.
Oh.
And technology in general, I think.
Put it in Google and it's all downhill. So
Mm,
I say as I stream this to a Google platform. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I have the luck of the Irish, so whatever can go wrong will probably,
Jugalassus says he likes
Hey,
your
thank
wallet
you.
tour.
I appreciate that. I see that. Yeah.
Freedom by me
Hey,
says hello, Tex. That must
welcome
be
to
one of your
Freedom.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. Freedom's a good
Yeah,
guy.
well, Freedom, we have a rule here at MBRR Pod. If you're going to come in and comment, you have to also subscribe to the channel, whether you like my content or not.
It's a good rule.
Yeah, it's a good rule. And if you like the content, you also have to like either super chat or join memberships. My moderators are slacking. They're not imposing the rules on people. Come on, mods. So you launched your channel how long ago now?
Oh, I think right about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
What made
actually exactly 2 years.
like exactly today?
I started it in May. I put one video up, and then I really started putting content up in July.
Well, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thanks. I'm surprised I'm still here. Thank you, YouTube.
Well, now that you said that,
Right.
Jugalassus says, I am not a tyrant. No, you can be a tyrant on my channel, Jugs. I'm trying to see if I can get StreamYard to work on my end for me while we're doing this. So, I'm so embarrassed tonight. I cannot believe that happened. I'm like, I had it all. I restarted the entire internet for the United States to be able to do this tonight, and it didn't work.
Well, this just goes along with it. So you had a storm, and we had to reschedule it, and then I had a storm, and we had to reschedule. So it just figures that something else was going to happen, right?
Yeah, no kidding, Nick. So you started your channel and very specifically decided that you wanted to talk about firearms, but you talk about shooting from the perspective of like focusing in particular on 22 caliber firearms.
Most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I do some shotgun stuff and some center fire, but yeah, I'm a 22 nerd, so I have collected a bunch of 22s over the years, and what better way to start making content than with already the items I already had.
So how does that translate then for you as you're looking at doing firearms reviews and whatnot? Are you focusing mostly on 22, and why the love for 22? Because you called yourself a 22 caliber nerd, so I didn't say it.
Yeah, no, I did. For a number of reasons, I can take people that haven't shot before, new shooters, to the range. It's a really easy platform to learn. You remove the recoil and the noise, and it makes people a lot more comfortable. So I do take a lot of new shooters to the range. Anytime I meet someone and I kind of get to know them, and we start talking about shooting, and they're like, "Oh, I've never shot before." I'm like, okay, let's get you some safety training and let's get you to the range. And usually I start that with 22. Also, I can go shoot for 6 hours for $50. It's a very cheap platform to shoot. You get a lot of reps in, especially if you own, I'm trying to think of let's say you own the Smith & Wesson, the M&P, shield or something like that, and they make the 22. They're very similar, so you're going to get the same kind of feel of it. I don't know. I like the other way better.
what was he? What did it do?
Oh, it flipped you sideways.
Put me. Oh, great. Freedom by me said, "Oh wow, that's the fastest I've ever had a comment deleted. Congratulations, you just set a personal record for me." I don't know what happened. No one should be deleting any comments. Huh. Put it up again, Freedom by me, because we didn't. My mods wouldn't have deleted it without telling me. So we don't delete things here, especially if you say something really mean. If you say something really mean, we love to put those up because it gets all the other people coming in. So that's funny because my dad actually told me that like the very first shotgun he ever had me fire was a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
Because he wanted me to be used to the recoil, the kick, as we say euphemistically. I don't know what you guys call it down there, but the kick.
That's a Midwestern thing. My grandparents are from Minnesota. They gave me a shotgun when I was younger, and they told me it's gonna kick. But here we say recoil, I guess, or some people say kick. I just distinctly think of that as a Midwestern thing because my grandfather said that to me.
Oh, yeah, it's So I learned to shoot with a 12 gauge, and I think the first firearm I shot was a 22, but I think that was at like 3. So, I don't. That was even recoil for a 3-year-old.
Sure.
But my dad spent a lot of time shooting a 30-06. But my mom could shoot just about anything, but she was a crack shot with a 22. She used to shoot the tops off of. This was a long time ago, in the 70s. That's a very long time ago, and she could shoot the tops off of old like Dr. Pepler. But you know what? We're just gonna go with whatever stupid things come out of my mouth tonight because that's how things are going. So, she'd shoot the tops right off of the old glass bottles of like Dr. Pepper and Pepsi. Guys at the range. Dad would take mom along, and she'd be out there with the 22, and they'd be sighting in their rifles for deer season or whatever as they're getting ready to head up north, and mom would be just embarrassing them all with their little 22 at like 100 yards.
Yeah.
Just
I shoot a lot of different calibers. It's something about it. My grandfather, when I was, I don't know, 5, 6, gave me a 22 trainer rifle from World War II. So single shot bolt. And my father, I grew up on a ranch in Wyoming, and we had a pigeon problem. So the pigeons would eat all the grain for the horses. So my father told me, I'll give you $0.25 for every pigeon you bring back to me dead. And man, I wore that rifle out in probably his wallet. So
yeah, my grandma had a bounty on pesky birds, and now I'm thinking about all the birds she had me shoot, and I'm like, I feel terrible now.
Yep.
I was very like I couldn't shoot certain types, but I could shoot others, and then I could never like, oh, grandma's gonna give me a bounty. But we probably shouldn't talk about that because that'll get us banned. Okay, you can't talk about shooting. So you decided because you're a 22 nerd and you love to shoot, and you're and I think in a previous conversation now, I think going back months, it feels like with all of the stuff that's been going on, you had made the comment that we definitely agree on the Second Amendment because you aren't a Second Amendment absolutist.
Yes. Yeah.
So for you, when you say you're a Second Amendment absolutist, what does that entail? And I know it sounds like a stupid question because you're like, how hard is it to understand an absolutist? But at the same time, some people will call themselves absolutists or say that they believe firmly in the Second Amendment, and then they'll turn around and later on and go, well, I believe in reasonable gun control, or things like that. So for you as a shooting channel and a Texan, what is a Second Amendment absolutist by your definition?
I believe that any citizen of the United States should be able to own a firearm. I guess I may trip over that absolutist claim there, but I mean, if you, if you, I would say any U.S. citizen, including felons that are not violent. If you've used a firearm to kill 6 people, you probably don't need another firearm. But
well, let's be honest. If you've used a firearm to kill 6 people in a criminal sense, you probably shouldn't be out of prison.
Correct.
So yes, I would agree that person should not own a firearm.
But I mean, someone who, let's say, commits a theft, does his time, pays his debt to society. I do believe that at a point his firearm rights or her firearm rights should be restored.
I'm glad to hear somebody say that, because it seems like a really unpopular opinion, even in the more conservative, Republican, liberty-leaning types. There are a lot out there who, when you talk about a former convicted felon having served their time, being able to get their gun rights restored, a lot of conservatives lose their minds.
Yeah. But it really, if you look at what's going on, say down here in this part of Texas, most of the violent crimes that are happening here are people out on bond. Like it's happening a lot here. So they get popped, they go in, their bond gets set very low, or their bail gets set very low. They get out and they do it again. And so it's in the news a lot down here. A guy with an ankle monitor on that's not even supposed to be out of the house, and he's running around robbing people.
With the ankle monitor on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty brazen.
No, it's completely brazen. So that the gun control stuff, criminals don't care about gun laws. They don't care about any laws. So that it's not going to stop them. So if someone does pays their penance, they do their time, they do their service to clear that up, then I feel like they should have their rights restored.
What about what about nonviolent, like felons? I have a hard time with the idea of nonviolent felons, just because I define violence a lot differently than a lot of people do. I think anytime, whether you're pilfering money from someone's bank account on purpose, like literally, like just bank fraud or something like that, I still see that as violence, because you're taking something from someone that you don't have a right to take. But using the criminal justice system definition of violence, let's say you got somebody that is convicted of a felony level embezzlement or something like that, and they do their time. Should they even have to petition? Should they still automatically, have their firearms rights removed from them as they go through the system? Or would you hold that only to like actual violent crimes?
That's a good question.
I do that once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be, if it's a repeat offender, I think that would play into it. If you continue to do criminal acts, even if they're not violent, then you maybe should be excluded from that. But I think if you're committed a nonviolent crime, when you're finished with your sentence and you've done all your community service, whatever you need to do to clear that up, then you go back to court, and the court, at some point, it may not be that day, but at some point the court says, yeah, we're going to reinstate your firearm rights in 5 years if you have no, continuing criminal activity, something of that nature. I mean, just if someone makes a mistake when they're, 22, 24, whatever, they make a mistake as a young man or woman, the rest of their life, they don't have the right to defend themselves.
Just imagine what would have happened if that would have never been the case. We would have never had the Dukes of Hazzard TV show.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point.
So You spend a lot of time bringing people into the firearms world who are coming from a lack of experience is kind of how I see, what you talk about. I mean, obviously you get a lot of hobbyists and whatnot that pay attention to your content and to your show, but you're also getting a lot of traction because people are sending you stuff to do reviews. Um, what's that like for you? Do you feel a lot more pressure um, having that happen, or are you kind of like, meh?
Oh, I do feel a lot of pressure. Especially this week. I'm like 3 weeks behind because we had a storm a month ago that tore up my property, took the internet down for a few days. Now I've been down for a week, and I've got a pile on a table of things I'm supposed to be doing reviews on. And now I'm called into work tomorrow. I thought I was going to the range tomorrow and knock out 5 or 6 hours of video, but no. So yeah, no, I feel some pressure. I feel
You're so important as a bartender, they call you in.
yes.
Jiminy. I thought you bartenders were all just slackers.
Yeah, we are secretly deep down.
And for those of you that are wondering why I keep bringing it up, there's an inside joke. So
Yeah, neither one of us are qualified to be up here talking right now.
yeah, even be talking about any of this. Yeah,
Right.
because I'm just a warehouse guy. So
Yeah. You warehouse guys, I don't know.
I'm like, if there's anybody lower than a bartender,
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take it.
you'll finally someone who I'm better than.
It's all up from here though.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
You could run for Congress.
Hey, I've stated that. Oh my God, I could. Maybe I should. I've been at the bottom for 20 some years now, so I guess I'll just stay down here.
You just stay. Yeah. Just leave my stapler where I want it. So
Yeah. The product reviews, I enjoyed doing it because I'm coming at it from an honest perspective. Yeah, they send me something, but I'm not afraid to tell people if it's not worth the money, if it's got, has a problem. I'll give the pros and cons, even the cheap stuff that you wouldn't expect to be good. Some of that actually is really pretty quality stuff for what it is.
I didn't know High Point made 22s.
Oof. I know. Oh boy.
I couldn't help myself.
I mean, I will say this: they are ugly, and they don't shoot very well, but they do shoot.
So they actually do make 22s?
No, they don't make 22s.
Oh, okay. I thought they went straight to like 9 and 45 because if you're gonna have a gun blow up on you, you want it to be powerful enough to take your hand off.
Oh, they got 10 millimeter now too. So yeah, I've never shot one of their pistols. I have shot one of their carbines, and it's not bad, but not good either.
It's not bad, but it's not good.
It shoots.
I don't know if that's how it works.
I didn't have any stoppages with it, no malfunctions. I ran a couple hundred rounds through it, and it ran them all.
They sent you one, huh?
I was no. I have not had a company send me a firearm yet.
Oh.
I borrow a lot of firearms from, I've got a bunch of gun buddies, and they'll get something new and they'll say, hey, you want to do a review on this? So
you're willing to admit you have a buddy with a High Point carbine?
Yes. Just one buddy.
Just one. Not after he sees this show.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Oh.
No, I get a lot of optics and stuff though, and a lot of them are Chinese made. A lot of them are decent, some of them aren't. But I do feel pressure to give a good, honest review. I'm not taking money from these companies. I get a free product. Some of them I don't want. I've got like a milk crate of products sitting in a corner that I'm never going to use. So I've reviewed them, and I don't know, maybe eBay. But no, I feel pressure to the companies too that do send me a really great product to try to do a really good video. I don't claim to be great at this. Better than when I started, but I'm still my worst critic. And I'll make a video, I'll put it up. 2 weeks later, I watch it. I'm like, oh my God, I did
Well,
that. You know,
I get that people are be like, "What did you mean at this point when you were doing this stream?" And I'm like, "You're gonna make me go back and watch." I don't really want
yeah,
to do. Don't want to do that. Like
yeah.
this tonight. I'm not gonna watch this back, and that's not your fault. I'm just like I'm so off my game tonight. So, um,
Hey, I've been out in the yard in the sun all day cleaning up fence parts, you know, cutting up fence boards and whatnot. So yeah, I'm kind of loopy myself, but we're making it through. Do the
yeah,
best we
we
can.
are. Yeah, the struggle bus has not left us behind yet.
Yeah.
So,
So I'll
um,
tell you, I think you were going to ask. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
no, that's what
I
this is
think
about. It's called Monday
I
Night Musings, not Monday Night Deep Dives. So,
okay, good deal. I'm on the right show. Um, I think you were going to ask me how I got started doing YouTube at one point, and then we switched real quick. I think you started to ask that, maybe not.
yeah, I did, but like I said, I'm off my game. So, yeah. So, how did you get started?
So, so there's a holster company in Bryan, Texas called Versacarry.
Yeah.
They make nice leather holsters. I ordered one for one of the single action 22s I have, just in case I ever want to, LARP around like a cowboy. Um, when I ordered that, they sent me in the box. They sent me a little card that said, "Review our product, good or bad, on a YouTube video review, and we will send you $150 store credit." And so I'm looking at that, and my wife's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh," I showed her, and she goes, "Get the camera, let's make a video." And so my very first video on my channel is that video. And sure enough, they sent me $150, store credit, and I got a bunch of nice stuff from them. And afterwards, wow, that was. I don't like being on TV. I don't like being on camera. That's all. I'm a super introvert. I keep to myself. So this is all weird for me. But she's like,
Yeah.
"Nope, you like free stuff, and you have fun doing this kind of stuff. So you need to keep going." So she's kind of been the pushing force behind me being on here still.
That's an interesting concept. A lot of us guys would like for that kind of backing.
It's good
To
and
heck
bad.
with to heck with channel sponsors. Just having somebody in your corner at home.
Yeah. That's true. No, she's 100% supportive of me doing this, and I mean, it's like I said, it's good and bad because something will come out. I'll see something, and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty sweet looking gun there, and she's like, well, I think you should get one, and I'm like, stop telling me to buy
No,
things. Stop telling me to buy things.
I work at a bar, right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't make any money.
I can't afford that. I'm gonna have to start an OnlyFans.
Oh God.
Just for
Yikes.
feet. Just for feet.
Oh
No.
yeah, feed only. Yeah, 100%.
So you kind of stumbled into it,
Yeah.
and it's taken off, to some degree for you in 2 years. I mean, I think a lot of people have this misconception that being a successful YouTuber, um, you've got to be at like Tim Pool level, or like some of these gaming channel level subscriptions, and constantly just pouring out content every day to be successful, because you know a lot of people see being a content creator as like a full-time job, and there's a lot of truth to it. No matter how big your channel is, it's a job on top of a full-time job most of the time. But you do pretty well. You're pretty successful for having 2 years worth of growth, and you get people that pay attention. But you've branched out away from just talking about firearms to urban prepping. So, like, how did you make that decision that you were going to take the channel in that direction? And when did prepping become a thing for you? Was it during the years of
Uh,
2020, or
yeah, you kind of rubber banded a little bit there.
did urban prepping become a thing for you during the virus of 2020, before that or after, or?
Kind of before that. So if you live anywhere on the Texas Gulf Coast, I'm like 100 miles off the coast. You're going to experience what we just experienced last week. hurricane rolls through, takes down power. Pretty much 90% of the grocery stores here lost all the the perishable foods because the power was out for 5 days, 6 days for some of those stores, and so you have to be prepared for that. So I moved here to Texas in '91, and so I think I'm on my 5th or 6th hurricane here. I've been without power for a month before. And yeah, you learn to kind of prepare, especially during hurricane season. 2020 showed me a little more about the national supply chain, how fragile that is. I already bought in bulk anyway because I hate going to the store. So I try to buy things in bulk so I make less trips. But yeah, that definitely
That's
showed
the
me.
introvert.
Yeah, exactly. I try to go in the mornings or like late evenings when nobody's there. But yeah, it definitely showed me, there's I don't know about up there, but there was a point for a couple of months there where there was hardly any meat in the grocery stores during 2020. I enjoy eating animals, so that was a problem for me. I'm like, nope, getting a chest freezer and filling this up, dating it all, rotating it, and yeah, not doing that. But I also started doing a little more of the prepping content, somewhat because of products that were sent to me by companies. That kind of led me into it. I'm on an affiliate management company, and so companies will reach out to me like, "Hey, do you want to be our affiliate?" And some of them I don't bother. Some of them are way out of my realm. Someone tried to have me do like solar lights or something the other day. Like that's not my. I'm just a dumb bartender. I can't make content on that. But if it's kind of outdoors adjacent, then and I think it's a cool product or a cool company, I'll hop on it. And that's kind of how it started. Also, YouTube kind of made that decision for me because they kind of started going after firearm content a little bit on here, real heavy a couple of years ago or a year ago, so maybe. And so I'm like, well, let's have a backup plan. Let's start making some other content. It gets monetized a lot faster if I do a video on a knife or a fire starter or something like that. It gets monetized immediately. Whereas if I do a shooting review or something like that, it can take a week before they monetize it. So
yeah, they got to make sure that you're not advocating for like having a gun in general. So
yeah.
So Freedom by Me, he says he has 2 chest freezers and about 1 million calories worth of canned goods, and now he's breeding rabbits. And I may or may not be in possession of illegal backyard chickens.
Yeah.
Because I just decided I'm sick of spending $6 to $7 for a dozen of knockoff supposedly free range organic eggs.
Yeah.
But do you find yourself now that you're doing content like this, looking at the world from a different perspective? Like you're definitely approaching it from much more of a prepper perspective, as opposed to I'm just an introvert and hate going to the store.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll say that I think the last really about 5 years have been the craziest years that I've been alive. I mean, I was born in the 70s. Like this is some weird stuff going on, and it keeps getting more and more weird, more unrest, kind of uneasy feelings. People, in the 80s, people of different political leanings didn't actually want to hurt each other. They just disagreed. Now it's like, so it could come apart at any point. You never know what can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's kind of
I think we came pretty close to finding out just how bad it could get on Saturday night. As my perspective.
I agree. And
were you working on Saturday when that happened?
No, I was off, and I was just kind of following it on X because my internet was still down. So I was able to kind of load my phone's loading really slowly. I guess the storm damaged some cell towers around me too, so I wasn't even really getting great cell coverage. So it's taking a long time to load up, but I was kind of following it on there and watching a little bit what my phone would allow me to watch. So crazy stuff.
So I assume you watched the video from the attempt on Saturday there with the president, former president Donald
Yes.
Trump, and from a shooter's perspective, anything stand out to you?
There's some weird stuff there.
No, go
You
ahead.
know,
That's what people expect from my channel. So,
well, if you're going to have Overwatch, you should have Overwatch on every single building within shooting distance of that stage. You got two guys on one building looking one way, and I didn't see any other. I don't know if there's videos of other teams up there, but that roof should not have been left open. That's a pretty obvious spot that should have been covered. The other weird thing is from what it looked like in that video to me, the counter sniper on the roof, the gentleman kneeling, he had glass on that shooter before that shot.
mm-hmm.
And that's weird to me how that, how does that happen? That you got glass on that guy, you see him pop up, he's not supposed to be there. You would know if it's one of your guys because, well, you don't have anybody on that roof. So if there's not supposed to be anybody over there and there's someone over there, I don't understand how it went to that point. I get, you can guess and conspiracy theories and whatnot, but I don't know enough about it, but it seemed a little odd to me.
My take is kind of like what Freedom by Me is saying. In the last 24 hours, he's watched 6 special forces guys say that this was 100% allowed to happen. And when you've been around security details like this in the past, like I spent some time watching security details, been around security details. Something really missed, excuse the pun. Something really got missed, and I'm absolutely floored at some of the responses. Like here local to me, a mayor of the 3rd largest city in the state of Minnesota used it to come out against AR and AK platforms. No mention of anybody like former President Trump being almost hit in the head. Like he got, like, technically he did get hit in the head, but nothing about the attempt on the former president. Just that it was a tragic event that could have been averted by better gun control.
Right.
And that's what I've been hearing through all of this, and even some scuttle within, kind of normie, I call them normie cons, but the normie conservative Republican circles is like, it might be time to start talking about sensible gun control. And honestly, like, we're talking about a guy who literally advocated for, take the guns first, worry about due process later. So I look at an event like this, I see what I saw, and you talk about the distance and that rooftop, and you got, even Freedom is pointing out how long the guy was there, the fact that he was pointed out, and Trump's response. And you look around and you're like, it just feels fishy as all hell to me. It just feels fishy as all hell.
Yep.
And
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. That's I agree with that. And I mean, the videos of people pointing him out well before that, as he's going up onto the roof, people were pointing it out, that it does look a lot like it was allowed to happen. The other thing that's really weird is they put, I don't know exactly how tall Trump is. I think he's fairly tall, but
he's the tallest person ever.
huge. The woman, the woman they had protecting him in the front was like a foot and a half shorter than him. You're supposed to step in front of him to take a. How's that work? Are you going to jump? I don't know.
She was the team lead though, so maybe that's not her job.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Freedom by me is a gun tuber, an ex-infantry, and ex-private investigator. Hey, I was with the 82nd Airborne, Freedom. So I jumped out of perfectly good airplanes for a living, and I refuse to call it anything but Fort Bragg. So, when you look at the caliber of weapon that was used on Saturday, and the distance. I mean, what have we determined? Is it roughly 130 to 150 yards from the shooting point? My perspective on that is even an untrained individual could have made that shot.
I would say yes, especially if they're shooting through an optic or glass of some type. Open sight for a novice, maybe a little bit harder, but that's not a hard shot. That's
150 people, people like they hear, oh my gosh, 150 yards or 130 yards, and I'm like, that's like, I don't want you any closer than that. If this is a combat situation,
yeah,
I'm very happy with you being out further than that. So
yes. No, 100%. It's not a hard. 130 yards is not a hard shot, especially if you're using a dot, an optic, something like that.
Even just a red dot optic is that would have been a lock.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. We could be having a completely different conversation in the United States right now.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for a whole slew of weird things.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. But, don't worry. We won't know anything more about this probably ever.
The hell you say. When you as a gun tuber, so to speak, when you see things like this, and I guess I can't even say when you see things like this, because short of those of us that are alive long enough to remember seeing Lincoln. Boy, I haven't. Not even I've been alive. Lanu maybe. Lanu might have been alive that long. Reagan being shot in front of the hotel when he was. When you think about that event and then you look at this event, that could have been a very history altering, life altering event for people. And something struck me. I went up to my local Ace Hardware store on Sunday, not looking to make a political statement, but I said to the staff, I'm like, so where were you guys for that moment in our lives of, I remember exactly where I was when I found out? And they all looked at me dumbfounded. And I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking about, people my age, right around my age, a little younger. And I'm like, how can you not, just not, this is so pivotally important. I don't care who we decide in our own minds, whether we want to call it a conspiracy or whatnot. I mean, it was a conspiracy. One way or another, it was a conspiracy. But no matter which way we look at it, this was a pivotal moment in history for all of us. And for most of the people that are alive today, they're not going to remember, Reagan. And most people alive today weren't alive for either of the Kennedy assassinations. So this is one of those moments where were you? What were you doing when you heard? How did this impact you? And I'm running into people that are like, "Oh, I didn't know about it for until, almost Sunday afternoon." And I'm like, "You don't even have to be a political person. This should be something that should have been like this should have impacted you because this
Yeah,
could have changed the fundamental direction of our country."
absolutely. And I think that's kind of what I meant too when I said things have gotten weird over the last 4 or 5 years, because I mean I remember the attempt on Reagan. I was young, but I do remember it, and um, that I remember that pretty vividly. Just like like 9/11, you remember things like that very vividly. I remember exactly what I was doing that day, everything. And now it's people are like, oh yeah, that's just normal.
Do you
What?
do you think it's come down to people just don't believe anything anymore?
I think that's part of it. The media has done such a disservice to this country. Uh, when was the last time news was actually journalism instead of propaganda? I
Well,
certainly don't. I certainly don't remember.
yeah, I'm guilty of that too because and I think rightly portray myself as an independent media, independent, journalism, electronic journalism outlet. But I also am very clear that I have it's editorial. I editorialize an opinion, um, opinion based commentary on what I'm reporting on. So, but I think that's the difference for me and a lot of people who are on that independent side, alternative media side, is that we don't like we tell people like, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I have an opinion on this. I'm not going to hold my opinion back. Whereas you look at the mainstream media, Operation Mockingbird media, and you look at them and they try to tell you, no, we're completely unbiased. And when you look at the reports that were coming out from CNN and MSNBC and everything else, Trump rushed off stage after being startled by noise.
Yeah.
Trump stumbles and Secret Service escorts him off stage. I'm like, what? It was almost like they had it pre-written, and that's what they ran with.
Yep. That is weird. And I did mean that the mainstream media. I follow a lot of independent journalists, and that's typically where I get, information from. I don't watch the news in general, the mainstream media at all. It's
No, go ahead, keep talking.
it's like that. You but the sad thing is some people will actually believe that. They'll read that or watch that story and they'll believe that. And they'll just go about their day like, oh, that's what happened. He fell, hit his ear. Some people probably believe that, didn't think twice about it. It's kind of nuts.
Freedom by Me says, I was at church yesterday in an extremely conservative red state and no one even mentioned it. I mean, that just like that blows my mind, especially with a conservative red state church. Like you would think, and I come from a very Calvinistic Reformed Christian perspective in my background, and I don't talk about it much on this channel, but like I look at like I haven't been to church in almost 2 years because like literally almost 99.9% of the churches in my area shut down in 2020 and 2021 when they were ordered to. And I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
If you're gonna follow that. You have to follow these unlawful orders, right? And I've had to tell people like people, and this is not a commentary on anybody's intelligence or intellect, and but a lot of conservative evangelical Christians treat Donald Trump like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. And you go to a church on Sunday, the day after it happens, and nobody says anything. That's actually kind of impressive. I want to know where you went to church. I want to go there.
Yeah, because the bar I work at is so I live on the outskirts. So I'm in a kind of 60-40 conservative Democrat split. but I work in the city, which is vice versa, more like an 80-20 split. And that was all anybody was talking about when I was working Sunday. The whole bar was talking about it.
Yeah, half of them were probably going, "I wish it would have worked," and the other,
Nobody said that out loud, but they were probably out there.
yeah, I've been shocked at the media personalities that have come out and said, "Well, better luck next time." I'm like,
We've had a couple of there's a representative here in Texas that said something to that nature.
I know, it's just mind blowing. What do you, when you, from the perspective of a prepper and the perspective of a person who's, channel's known for, being, a gun tuber, when you look at this election, and I swear we cannot be friends if you answer this question with, "This is the most important election of our lives." I swear to God. I swear. Like, every election since I can remember people talking about elections has been the most important election. But when you look at this upcoming election as a person who is, a Second Amendment absolutist, very much a constitutionalist, do you have hope that if Trump wins, we're going to push back into the realm of more solid constitutional approaches to, laws and liberty here in the United States? Do you think it'll be worse if whoever the Democrats end up picking, because we know it's not going to be Biden. Biden is not coming out of that convention as a nominee. We know that's not going to. They're done with him. They are absolutely done with him. And I'm like, I hope they don't. I hope he sticks to his guns.
Oh, I hope he's stubborn enough. Yep, I hope he's stubborn enough to just say, "Nope, I'm doing it."
But which side do you see right now? And I know it seems like it's an easy question, but I don't really think it is. Do you have more hope, or should I say, do you think it's a sane hope to hold out for a Trump victory and kind of the follow-on red that comes with it, or do you think we're in trouble no matter what now?
Well, first off, let me say this is the most important election of our life. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I'm going to Twitter right now and blocking you. So I can't put up with you bartenders.
I know, a lowly bunch of heathens. I'll say that I think we're kind of screwed no matter what, in a way, because politicians are not looking out for us. They're looking out for themselves. I'm talking about all parties and most politicians. I think if Trump gets elected, he can do some things to roll back some of the stuff that's kind of been going on. If he chooses his people a little more wisely than he did last time, because not only was he fighting the Democrats on all the laws he wanted and all the policies he wanted to push forward, he was kind of fighting his own party. And I think it's going to be the same thing again. A lot of people in the Republican Party don't care for Donald Trump, so that's going to be an uphill battle. I don't have a real great outlook on politicians and politics in general.
You're just saying that you're just saying that because you're trying to stay on my good side after you made that comment.
Yes, that's exactly why.
When you go ahead.
Oh, well, so I will say, like, on my channel, I stay away from politics. I do talk a little bit more on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And this is the second live stream I've been on ever. So, and I talked a little bit on the first one I was on about politics, but
who was your first live stream?
Red Dawn Readiness. It's a prepper channel. And I kind of hopped in there impromptu. He invited me to hop up. So it wasn't scheduled or anything. It was just kind of an impromptu thing. And that was cool. It kind of warmed me up for this because I was on there for kind of a short time, and it kind of warmed me up to be on a little bit longer live stream with somebody, and you know,
But yeah, I told you we're just conversational here. We are.
yeah, no, and yeah, no, this is good. I'm very comfortable in this type of, just don't ask me any hard questions. I'm I'm just a bartender.
Well, no, it's funny too because when you were talking about it, you're like, I gotta check out some of your content. You're like, you seem like a natural, and I'm like, well, I've been doing this, since April of 2020. It literally cost me my career. I'd better get pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
what it's funny too is you've mentioned several times in different ways that you're, very much an introvert. And the irony of that is that I tell people all the time, you do not understand how much of an introvert I am. And they're like, but you do a show, you talk to people, you go to events. Um, and I'm like, you clearly don't understand when someone tells you they're an introvert what that means. It does not mean the guy that sits at home in the corner in the dark with reading books by candlelight. It takes so much more energy for us to do what we do the way we do it than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And so even after a perfect start to a show as opposed to the fiasco that this was tonight, um it it's an energy drain. Not because the guests are, bad, but it's an energy drain. It just takes a lot, you know. It it just takes a lot, and even when you're recording for yourself and there's nobody else interacting, you're still putting yourself out there, and it's so obvious when you're forcing the natural. It's which is possible. You can really put effort into trying to be as natural as possible, but it still seems so obvious. So you just have to develop this flow, and it moments like we had at the start of this, it almost helps when it goes
Yeah,
cockeyed, because it's just like, whatever, I give up.
yeah. No, it is a huge drain. I'll tell you that I would be a way bigger channel right now. Um, when I started doing YouTube, my whole goal was 1,000 subscribers. Let's get monetized, 1,000 subscribers. And I put out a lot of content in the first year. And when I hit that 1,000 subscribers, it was just like that was all my momentum that I had.
Hmm.
And so I was only putting out a video, like for a while there, I was doing like one video a month and maybe a short or something. And it's because of that reason. It is a drain. So I go to work. I work a 9-10 hour shift. I'm talking to people the whole time. I'm forced to talk to them. I'm stuck in a cage, forced to talk to them basically. And by the
Yeah,
time I get home,
you did not pick a good career.
I did
Well,
not. I did
yeah.
not. But I can play it for a while. But by
Yeah.
the time I get home, my social battery is at zero. Like my wife knows when I come home, she hands me a drink. I sit on the couch. She does her thing. She comes back like 15 minutes later. Hey, can I get you anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. And she just allows me to just sit there and decompress and kind of, okay. And, my wife talks a lot. She likes to talk, which is perfect for me because I don't like to talk that much. So it works out well. But she knows, she gives me 15, 20 minutes before she's, starts in conversating with me. So it works out. But yeah, I didn't know it's to do that and then wake up in the morning and start making content. And you're right. You're filming yourself. There's nobody there, but you also know that people are going to be watching that.
All tens and tens.
All tens and yeah, exactly. But it's kind of a drain.
Well, and I don't want to, I don't want my audience to hear me going, "Oh gosh, I don't appreciate you guys watching." That's not what I'm getting at. And I mean, I've had dozens of people on between my Monday Night Musings episode and uh, And I do a libertarian lowdown series, and then I have people on for different conversations at different times that aren't related to Monday Night Musings or libertarian lowdown. And I've had hundreds of episodes with people, and it's so much investment because you don't like I used to try and study people before I would have them on. I really do deep dives into them, and I realized that I do better when I don't. Either I listen to your content or I watch your content, eh, or I don't. But maybe I've saw something from you on social media that made me say, "Hey, I'd love to talk to this person." And the reality of it is that if you go into something and you overplan it, it absolutely takes away from the fundamental nature of doing content, which is to really kind of find out who the person is, find out what makes them tick, and how they landed where they did. And and that doesn't mean I don't watch your that's not what I was getting at with you. It's like
Sure,
not that I
sure.
don't watch your content, but if you're only watching content, if you're only studying the person that you're talking to because you feel like you have to know everything about them before you have them on or before you talk to them, then you might as well just do a review of their channel,
Yeah, that's true.
and
That's
go,
true.
well, here's
I watched
five
two
or
of
six.
your I watched two of your videos, two of your previous the Monday Night Musings. I just watched maybe like 5-10 minutes of each of those,
You're
just
like,
to
what
kind
did
of
I agree? What did I agree to?
right,
What
right.
did I? What?
No, just to get an idea of how your kind of your format, your flow, or whatever, and that's about it. Everything else is like, oh, this is a surprise. Let's do it.
Yeah, and boy, was it a surprise. That's for damn sure.
Eh, what's 8 minutes? No big deal.
It was more like 15 almost.
Trying to help you out here, man.
No, I own it. I will own it. I don't know what happened. I love StreamYard, but I'm like the camera's working for everything but StreamYard. So now I'm wondering if it's a StreamYard issue, and if it is, I'm going to be really upset because I love using StreamYard. See, I'm one
Yeah.
of those. I'm an old timer, so when I get used when I get used to a system,
Yep.
getting me to go and try and learn how to use something else is like trying to teach a donkey, how to be a saddle animal instead of a pack animal. So
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I get used to using something, that's what I use. Actually, I was using a different editing software when I started YouTube, and it was actually pretty terrible, but it was really easy to use. But I was having a lot of problems with it. Then, excuse me. Actually, Freedom by Me told me to use the CapCut, the TikTok's editing software, which is separate from TikTok. You can use it, without using TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but man, that editing software is great for kind of a novice. And now that's all I'm going to use. I'm stuck with that until they shut it down or whatever.
uh, now I'm just trying to picture you doing a bunch of TikTok dances. So
Oh, that's my other personality.
that's what you do at the bar, so you don't have to talk to people. You just dance, and they don't want to talk to you.
That's right. I don't dance very well either.
It doesn't matter because when you're at the bar and your client base is all inebriated,
Yeah.
they think you dance like a superstar.
They
So
also think I'm really intelligent. They'll believe anything.
well, you're everybody's free counselor. So
That is true. That's the other part of that social battery. Oof,
you
I
ha-
hear stuff. I hear stuff I never want to hear. And
you
why are
have
you
the regular
telling me this?
guy or gal that just comes in and it's just like every problem that they've ever had, and you just like, why would you tell me this? We're not friends.
Yes, very much
Yes.
so. Yes, all of those things. All of those things happen. So the place I work at is kind of a neighborhood bar, and it's I would say about 80% of the people in there on any given day. I know their names. I know what kind of car they drive. I know half of their life story. So it's kind of a little like Cheers. And yeah, I know more things about people than I should.
Yeah, we have two neighborhood bars within walking distance of me. Really, one is actually a pretty decent bar at our local bowling alley, which is like a block from me, and then a couple of blocks up from that is another place, which is more of a tap house. And I mean, they serve mixed drinks too, but I can walk in and sit down and I can say I want my sandwich at, at the tap house, and the owner slash manager, whatever, the entrepreneur, the restaurateur, he knows exactly how to type in my sandwich because it's this deep fried crispy chicken sandwich, and I don't order it the way it is on the menu. I have him do a bunch of other stuff to it. But I can walk in and he'll be like, "Well, bourbon and dew tonight, or a Long Island," and that's it. That's like,
Yeah.
and it always amazes me with bartenders just how many times they can see you and they'll remember your drink, and then you see them away from the bar and they have no idea who you are.
I have a great memory, so that doesn't happen for me. I see people all the time, and I see people that, because I've been in this industry for a while, but I was in the management side of it for a while. I've owned a bar. Now I guess I'm technically the manager of the bar I work at, but I'm the only person that works there besides the owner. So I'm just managing myself. But I remember people from a bar that I worked at 10 years ago that were regulars, and I'll see them at the store and I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Smith, how you doing?" I remember their name and everything. It's weird. I have a weird memory, which is helpful in that industry.
I spent almost 13 years in the law enforcement world, and on the detention end, and I can walk up to people today still, and they'll know they know me, but they'll be like, and then it'll dawn on him, and then I'm like, "Okay, is this where I get shot or stabbed?"
Yeah.
But there have been a few times where I know exactly where I know them from, and they'll be like, "Oh man, I know you. I know you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think you want me to talk about it right now."
Yeah.
But I'm like, and it's funny though, and I'm sure you've had this experience. There's if you're good at your job within the law enforcement world, and I mean actually good at it, people are going to remember you for your decency. And I think there's a big correlation, especially between what I did as a deputy on the detention end and what you do as a bartender, in that if you treat people well, like human beings, no matter what they have going on, they're going to see that as the kindest thing in the world, and they're going to remember that. And you can just really reach out and touch people in a way, from a perspective that a lot of people can't, and they will hold on to that, and they'll just dump that on you in a positive way when you least expect it. And I've had that, and I've had this conversation with other people who bartend, and they're like, "You know what? It's funny because that is exactly what happens." Like, I had a guy, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I had a guy tell me a story about a person that he waited on him for 2 days as a bartender. 2 days. He was in town for 2 days, and it was for something pretty like family, sensitive issue. And they ran into each other years down the road. And I don't know how many years it was, but years down the road in a completely different environment. And the guy goes, "I remember you. You're the bartender at such and such. And it was the lowest time of my life in a very long time. And you were the nicest person in the world to me."
Yeah.
And I just like, and that touched me. And that's happened to me. And I'm like, it's funny how you hate to say that you're just doing a job, but I mean, honestly, that's what you're doing.
Right.
But it's how you approach it and how you do it that really has that impact on people. And you can also have, you can also ruin a person's night pretty easily. So,
Sure. So I'm a serious sort of fellow. So I'm nice to pretty much everybody unless they give me a reason not to be. But at work, I don't joke around a whole lot. I'm very to the point. And my wife always tells me, "Oh, the regulars at your bar, they love you." And she's right. I get Christmas gifts. I get nice bottles of bourbon and tequila and all kinds of gifts at Christmas. It's really weird. I'm like, I just serve you drinks. Why are you? I'm not a family member or anything. Why are you giving me $100 bottle of whiskey? It's like, what's going on here? But no, she's right. And to your point, yeah, if you just treat people with respect and courtesy, and you listen, that's what I do best. I listen. I'm a better listener than I'm a talker. So I listen, and that wins people over. It's doesn't take much.
It's funny too, just how easy it is to ruin, a situation. Like I had I probably was about 3-4 years into my career, and we had an incredibly inebriated blonde gal. She had short hair, not like shaved, but she wasn't unattractive, but she knew she wasn't unattractive. And she did what most inebriated, attractive women do when they're in trouble, especially for a DUI. She decided that the best way to make her night go better was to try and flirt with every male staff member, even though she was already sitting in there and being booked in for the DUI. And I was tasked with making sure she had time to use the phone to call for a ride to come pick her up because we couldn't release her. And she was flirting and flirting and flirting. And I'm like, I know myself. Like, you're not flirting with me because you think we're gonna go out. Like, you're flirting because you think it's somehow going to help your situation.
Right.
And I didn't say that to her, but she just kept going and going and going and going. And she eventually goes, "Come on, you like me. I mean, why wouldn't you like me?" And I'm like, "Are you going to make your calls? Like, can you give me numbers? Because like, I'm literally ready for you to leave." I'm like,
Yeah.
and she's, "Oh, come on." And she's like, "I make a lot of money. I'm a medical, I'm a pharmaceutical rep. We could have a lot of fun together." And I'm like, yeah, "That's amazing. Does your job require you to have a driver's license? Because you're not going to have one pretty soon."
Yeah.
Bad move. Bad move. Like, I was that annoyed, and I could have handled it different, but this woman lost her mind. Lost her mind. And I didn't intend to escalate it, but I just had enough. It had been a night of a bunch of obnoxious drunks. You have no idea what that's like.
Oh no, not at all. I've done that before too. I kind of have a lot of patience, but eventually I reach the end of it, and I'll snap at somebody, and I feel bad about it afterwards. But then I go home and I think about it, and I'm like, no, they had that coming.
No, they had that one.
They had that coming, and they're gonna go home and think about it and go, yeah, I probably had that coming. At least
Or no.
yeah, exactly, and that's fine. You know,
Oh,
we try to weed out the people that we don't want there pretty quickly.
well, especially when it's a neighborhood bar.
Yeah.
You work at Applebee's.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
Isn't that their tagline? Your neighborhood,
Yeah.
your neighborhood bar and grill or whatever.
I don't think I've been in an Applebee's in like 25 years.
It hasn't been that long for me, but it's been a long time. So what do you got coming up? What could people expect from you besides being really backed up on all of your content?
Well, I thought I was going to get caught up last weekend, so we'll see. I've got a couple of optic reviews coming up. Really nice pistol dot and a fixed power scope coming up. Got a holster company actually that I guess is going to sponsor the We to People stream called Foundry Holsters. And I got in contact with him, and he sent me out a holster to check out. Really, really super nice. I should be done with that video tomorrow. I did a video, about a month ago or so, where I took a new shooter to the range using 22. and we went back to the range a couple weeks ago with 9mm. And just throwing this out there, I'm not a firearms instructor. I always push them to get instruction. I am an RSO, so I give them safety briefing, teach them basic functions, take them to the range, and then I push them off to a qualified instructor. So I don't want to misrepresent that I'm an instructor of any sort. But yeah, I took her back out and shot with her with 9mm, and that was great. So got that video coming up sometime in the next couple of weeks as well.
Well, that's it's you don't have to be an instructor, but I think I love to see people like you out there encouraging people to shoot and getting them comfortable with it. Because I tell people all the time that especially people who think they're against firearms, I said, you don't know what you're against. Like, before you could say you're against it, you need to try it. And I bet 75 to 80% of the people that I say that to that actually take the challenge go out there like, I don't know why I've been afraid for so long. I don't know what this was fun.
Yep.
I'm good friends with a gentleman named Jake Wiskerson, and he is he does a show called Guns and Mental Health. It's part of the Walk to Talk America operation, and he hosts that show with a guy named Mike Soldini. And Mike is, I cannot remember, is it the exact name of the group, but they're a big firearms importer, and they decided to start the show Guns and Mental Health and Walk to Talk America when the former CEO of the channel hit a time in his life where he was incredibly depressed, and he ended up with one of his own products. And they said, we can't do this anymore. And one of the things that Jake talks about, because Jake also is has a doctorate in therapeutic counseling, and his Zephyr Wellness is a firearms friendly mental health counseling center. And the last thing that they want is to take away from people who find shooting therapeutic. They like, the last thing they want to do is take that away from people. And that's what I've run into with so many people, is they're like, that's so therapeutic. It felt so good. And I'm like, the joke part of you is like, well, who were you picturing? It's who is in your mind. But a lot of times people are just like, no, it's actually just therapeutic. It just feels good to be out there doing it.
Yep.
So,
and that's why, like I said, first you shot a 12 gauge, but you had shot a 22 before that, you said. So,
yeah.
So that's kind of my approach to, if I meet someone, they haven't shot before, and I'm like, do you want to shoot? Want to go to the range? I'll be happy to take you. I kind of treat them like they're the 6-year-old me, where my grandfather handed me a 22 and I'm plinking cans at, 50, 7,500 yards. And it was fun. I'm like, okay, well, you got to treat them like they've never been exposed. So expose them how I was exposed is kind of my approach on that. And that's why the 22. Plus, yeah, I can take them and not break the bank. Well, if they want to shoot 400 rounds, they shoot 400 rounds. It's like, $25-$30. It's no big deal.
That's still like 8 times more expensive than it was.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's come back down a little bit on the 22. It's funny, when everybody was panic buying ammo in 2020. They had these long lines outside all the sporting goods stores and stuff down here. And I'd wait till they all got their ammo, and I'd go in and buy all the 22 that none of them bought. It was just sitting there, full shelf of 22. We couldn't
even get, the small size bricks of 22 ammo during all of that. Like that was even hard here. And I'm like, and I wasn't buying it to, hoard it in the sense of hoarding the way some people, all of a sudden people who never bought ammo are now buying 380, like they don't even know what a 380 is, but they're just out buying ammo. Yeah. Like, what are you guys going to do? You going to trade it for chicken?
I mean, If it really went downhill, probably yes, that would be possible. But
Well, yeah, but they like most of the people, they have no idea what they're looking at.
no.
You know?
Yeah. So our, the fabulous response to the COVID crap was to shut down a bunch of the small businesses here, which killed a lot of them completely off. And ours, the place I worked for, was shut down for about 6 months. We're a retail store as well, so we sell alcohol to go.
I like how you're like alcohol to go. Like it's not really to go as much as it is off sale.
Yeah, it's an off-premise sale.
Yeah.
So we have both licenses. So we sell, off-premise and we on-premise. So I was working like 3 days a week for about 4 hours a day instead of my normal 50 hours a week or so. And I had a lot of free time. So, I had a couple 22s, but I told my wife, it's like, let's go pick up a couple 22 pistols because can't afford 9mm ammo right now if we're going to go to the range. So we went to the range 2-3 times a week sometimes, and we'd shoot 500 rounds each, $25, no big deal, $50 between the two of us. And that's kind of how I started collecting more 22s than I really need, but it's, it's a fun hobby.
As we tell people, well, I shouldn't say we, but my dad had always told me more black bears in northern Minnesota are killed with 22s than they are with 30-06s. And when you say that, people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a rifle."
Yep. I've taken coyotes with 22 before at a fair distance. So it's not the underpowered, BB gun round that people sometimes claim it is. It's also not the ideal defensive round, but it is a dangerous, round still.
Oh, yeah. And far more people are, well, we better be quiet because they'll take that first.
Yeah. I mean, what? Go ahead.
No, it's very funny just what people's misconception. They think everything, like I like 45s. I think, like you use a 45 for self-defense, even if the guy's wearing a vest, you're putting him down. Yeah. So I do like the 45. I've kind of fell in love with the 45 for a sidearm when I was in the military. That not everybody has it, like everybody's got a 9mm now, everybody's got a 9mm Glock now.
I have a Glock clone. I don't own an actual Glock.
But you know what I mean.
I know. I don't. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I don't like the grip angle on Glocks. It's not a natural point for me.
It does not give good hand. It does not give good hand. But you just like with a 45, it's like, yeah, that's like getting shot in the chest with a 16-pound bowling ball. Yeah. But you've got to be comfortable with what it is that you're carrying. And if you're not comfortable with it, or if it scares you, then it doesn't do you or anybody else any good.
Nope.
And most people, if they're coming at you with a knife or they're threatening you and you pull a 22, they're not going to go, "What is that? Is that a 22?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm whatever, like. Yeah. Anybody who can, like you look at on the business end of a 22, that's still going to look like a howitzer when it's pointed at you. So
sure, and that's what you want anyway, is a break in contact. So
yeah,
that's what you're really looking for, because the legal entanglement that comes with actually having to use that is not something I would ever want to be involved in.
Well, and it doesn't matter what state you're in.
No.
Now, everybody thinks of places like Texas and Florida. I'm like, no, they're still going to come after you.
Yeah.
There's, I'm getting ready to, I'm working on a story about the defensive use of a firearm here in my region. And there's a lot of like shady stuff that went on to set this person up afterwards. But it's like that's one of those things. If you're going to carry, you have to be well aware that even if you're completely justified, the system is going to do its level best to destroy your life.
Yeah.
So, besides making you work at a bar the rest of your life.
Well, yeah. I mean, what worse punishment is there than that?
Working in a warehouse. Well, so when's your next video drop then? For sure.
I'm actually should be putting one up in the morning. I finished it up
Nice.
earlier while right before this. I got to go back over the editing real quick and make sure I didn't miss anything or whatever, and I should be able to post that up tomorrow. And that's it's a plasma arc lighter from Blackbeard Fire, which is a fire starter company. So I've done a couple of product reviews from them. So that's an easy one to test, run through, edit. It's pretty simple review, but I should have that up tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Well, everybody from my channel should head over to your channel and check that out. And then everybody from your channel should head over here and go, you did a show with that guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you watched his other content?
Yeah.
He's a psycho.
Yeah. No, I agreed. I mean, yeah. I'd be happy to have any of your viewers on board with me, and same goes. I'd hope everybody that's a viewer on my channel would, head over and check out your content as well.
Well, I think I had this set up to record on both ends. So if you wanted to take it and clip it out or whatever, feel free.
Okay, cool. I should have asked you that beforehand. I could have hit, stream to my channel, but
oh yeah,
cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's one of my channel members. He's a member and he's a moderator. So
okay. Well, cool. Welcome aboard. Thank you very much. Yeah, I should have asked you before. I could have just hit stream to my channel, but I forgot to ask you, and we got started. And I'm like, I don't want to, But yeah, thank you.
I do that when I do the use of force review on Friday nights. I stream it out, and I always put some sort of title on there, like a po pew pew review or something.
Yeah.
And my people come in and they raise all sorts of cane in the chat, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. Except one guy came over, was watching from my channel, and got mad at me because I wasn't saying a negative enough stuff about law enforcement. And I'm like, look, hey, I will call out bad cops when I need to. But if a cop's getting chased by a guy with a gun or a knife, he gets backed into a corner and he has to shoot the dude, that's a clean shoot. I don't care who you are.
That's pretty cut and dry. Yeah.
It's like a clean shoot.
Yeah. No, I've had that when I've done a few of the streams with Kingdom on that Karen Reed case. I've streamed it to my channel, and some of the people that have found me were actually not subscribers of mine, but some bizarre comments came from my stream. I'm like, who are these people?
How did you even find me?
Yeah, it's very, very strange.
Well, I appreciate it, and I've had you on now for let's just say an hour and a half, and that's after a late start. So you've got work to do, and I have to get up in the morning and go to work. So yeah, feel free to use whatever you want out of this, and thanks for the time. And if I can ever do anything to promote your channel, let me know.
All right, thank you for having me on. And the same goes.
So it's been my pleasure. I am truly sorry to the audience, to the viewers, and to you for the horrible start. Like I said, I've been off my game because I've been so frustrated. I've never had this happen before. And
it happens.
I hate technology, but I love it because it lets me do things like this. So at least I had the phone to rely on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. It's been fun. I appreciate you having me on. And actually I've been talking with Freedom actually. And I might start doing a live stream, maybe like an hour, one night a week.
Nice.
And having me on here kind of helped me think that through a little more and see if I'm comfortable with
that. You know what? On second thought, no.
Yeah, right. But if I decide to do that at some point, maybe I can have you on over there.
Oh, hey, be more than happy to. I'd be more than happy to come in and ruin your viewership. That's
Perfect. That's what I'm looking for.
well, you get out of here and I'll do a close up.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Guys, once again, I'm really sorry for the late. Barry, give me a call. Text me, Barry, because if you still have my number, because I don't know if I have your number in my phone anymore, or send me an email or something. Yeah, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. But yeah, anyway, sorry for this. I've got to do some troubleshooting before I have my next live stream or even record, because StreamYard is my favorite and it is not cooperating with my equipment, but my equipment is working fine for everything else. So don't know what to tell you guys. I'm not real thrilled with the way it worked tonight. It did not do what it was supposed to do. So we got a late start, but I think we had a good show. And you guys know this is TC and Friends Monday Night Musings. So it was just a night of musing, and we had some interesting conversation. If you haven't yet, go over and check out his channel. The link is in the description. I'm going to be doing a couple of really in-depth stories. I'm working on some other stuff. I'm actually also going to, for those of you that haven't been or aren't aware, when I was working on the Trooper Shane Roper story and broke it a day before they actually charged him about his driving history, I was getting a lot of hate from people, and people kept bringing up a lawsuit that I was mentioned in. And so I've decided I'm going to break down that lawsuit and explain to everybody exactly what the lawsuit was about and why it was dismissed. Because I think if people are going to keep bringing it up anytime they're mad at me for calling out cops for doing bad things, then you know what, gosh darn it, let's just talk about it. I have nothing to hide. So, and those of you that have been watching for a while, you guys know I have no issue being transparent about my time as a deputy with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office and why I left and the things that happened there. So we're going to do that once I can get the system to work. So, as always, friends, I don't know, can we see it? Can we see it here? Probably not see it very well tonight, but as always, fight for your liberty. It is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. And until next time, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. And that's for even the people who don't like me that watch just so they have something to be mad about. Six Semper Tyrannis.
We are go for liftoff in T-30. Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Rope Regiment. Secondary guidance systems engaged. Minnesota Black Rope Regiment, it will be on my mark. All systems are a go. All systems are a go. Minnesota Black Rope Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.